Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. I'm, as always, your host, Marco Mazzola. With me is our bevy of ranters on the phone. We have Bruno. Say hello, Bruno.
Does Barry Manilow know you're going to raid his wardrobe?
He does, in fact. I pre-warned him. Hello, Larry.
Hey.
And hello, Mila.
Ayo.
I got to say, we've done a couple today already. We missed the Bruno intros.
Yeah, I was like,
Let's
man, he'd have something
rewind
good.
a little bit. And what did we do so far? We did Happy Gilmore. You got one for Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore. Let me think. I could go to the easy one, like, go to your home. What's wrong with your home?
That's actually going to come out next week, the Happy Gilmore one, because we're kind of recording these out of order a little bit, just so we get Bruno one. And then what's the first one we did today? We did Signs.
That's a tricky one.
Signs is a tricky one. Yeah.
It's because it sucked.
Because it sucked.
That's not quite true.
You could use the swing away.
Yes. Yeah, swing away is an easy one.
Swing away. Yeah. It was a terrible movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so, but, go off, I guess.
How about, there's a monster outside my room, can I have a glass of water?
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so today we're going to be talking about The Breakfast Club, circa 1985. So this was Bruno's pick for our Flashback February, movies that bring us back to our childhood, movies that we remember fondly, that every time we watch now we think about the better times, the good times. I wouldn't say the better times, but the good times, the easier times.
Yeah.
We didn't have responsibilities. When you could run out of your house without a phone, without a wallet, without keys, you couldn't give a fuck. Try doing that now. You get 5 feet from your house without your wallet, your phone, or your keys, and you freak out.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
So, Bruno.
Yeah, but we had other issues to deal with then, didn't we? Like, there was, there's so much anxiety and other bullshit going on that, I'd almost wish we had some phones where we could just connect with other kids. Like, this whole movie's about how they connected, like, different kids from different parts of the societal club coming together and getting to know each other. I don't know. I don't know that it was better back then, to be honest with you. It was different, It was
definitely different. Different anxieties, I suppose.
Yeah.
Of course, as an adult, you look back on like, those anxieties didn't mean shit. But they did to you back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I hate when people do that to like other people or kids.
Right.
Like, well, you're just a kid. You don't know any better. You don't know. You know what it's going to be like when you're an adult, or you don't know what it's like going to be when you're an adult. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm a kid. This is my world.
And a Spanish
this is what's stressful to me right now, and it's just as important because it's stressful to me. No, I don't have your pressures. I'm not you yet, and I will get there. But for me, at whatever age, let's say 8, 10, 12, whatever, these are my stresses, and it's important to me because this is what weighs on me in my world. That makes sense.
Mm.
So,
yeah, that's a major issue. I was just looking at talking to somebody about a week ago about basically how, like, when you get your first breakup, like when you experience your first loss of like true love, quote unquote, when you're, a teenager or something, and it's like your world is falling apart and nothing makes sense anymore. And you're just so upset. And, and your parents are like, chill out, this is not a big deal. And you're like, but it is.
It is a big deal, right? You'll have many more loves, there's more fish in the sea, all that other bullshit and the platitudes that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
When that is your world. That is what you have to deal with right there.
Yeah, it's big. It's big to you at the time.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's go around the room and, Bruno, you need to start us off. Give us a summary of the movie itself. Give us a quick plot and summary of the movie.
I mean, I think at the 10,000 foot view, this movie is, like I said, it's about, 5 kids who are all different. You got the jock, you got the geek, you got the goth girl who these days, do they even call them goth anymore? Like, I think it's emo, right? Is it emo?
More like edgy. Edgy's the word now.
Okay. So then you got her, then you got like the screw off and the bender. Yeah. I mean, so you bring them all together and they originally start out as their stereotype. And then, you've got you've got the vice principal, I think he was, right, Mr. Vernon, or I think, who was essentially.
Was he the vice principal?
I think so.
I think
That
he was
seems
the
reasonable.
vice principal. Yeah, I don't know why the principal would stay there, but he's essentially.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he's essentially running detention on a Saturday, and they've got to be there all day long. And I mean, it's a lot like a prison, right? Like they can't move, they can't do anything, and he's there. And but anyway, they hang out all day and they get to know each other, and you go through the ups and downs, and and they come out the other side, changed and sort of understanding better the other types of kids, and that they're not all one dimensional. Like they start out super one dimensional, and then they evolve, which I think is probably one of the reasons that it's been such a lauded movie, and that it's the writing was okay. Like I wouldn't say it was amazing writing, but it did show some character development, and you get I want to say it expressed very well the angst in the 80s that the kids were experiencing, right? It very much encapsulated what teenage life was like in the 80s. So I think that was probably part of the appeal of it.
Right. A teenage view from a lot of different point of views, from at least 5 different point of views.
Yeah. And I think the teenage experience changes as you go through, in the 2000s, it was probably in the 90s, it was probably a little different. And in the 2010s, it's probably a little different. So in the 80s, though, those are the things that people were, and I'm sure a lot of them are similar to now, but just the way they manifest in society is a little bit different.
Anxiety is anxiety.
Anxiety is anxiety, right?
Yeah, pressures are pressures. It doesn't matter which form the pressure is. Pressure is pressure. And it's yours.
Right. Yeah.
I don't like when people negate it. Larry, you seem to have some waving face emotions about this.
I'm excited
Larry's
to
made
see
about
what
every
you say.
facial expression I think a face can make at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get into it.
When we were talking about movies we wanted to do for Flashback February, Bruno, you picked this one, and I was like, I cannot wait to go home and watch The Breakfast Club, because it's been forever and a day since I've last seen it. I remember this as just what you said. It was a group of people that was from different corners of everything.
John Hughes.
Right, it was a John Hughes, and I was like, I cannot wait to go watch this. I watch it. I am so upset that I watched it.
Yeah, it didn't hold up very well.
It didn't hold up anything.
So why do you think that? Because I've been dying to hear. I told Larry don't say anything until we record.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to get spoiled.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So first of all, you see these 5 kids, right? First and foremost, 3 of those 5 are never going to see the daylight of detention. They will never go to detention, because you have to think about the roles that they hold, and especially in the high school in the 80s, the star jock will never see detention ever, because that school, if he's the star jock, they're going to make sure that he's not in detention, especially on a weekend that's when a lot of those high school meets are happening, whether it be wrestling or football. So he's like the captain of the wrestling. He'll never see detention. The princess, the popular girl.
He did something pretty egregious.
What did he do?
He taped the kid's butt cheeks together.
No, he just did that once. Right, but
that wasn't what put him in there. I don't think. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's not what put him in there.
That was.
No, that was just something that he did.
No, that was something else.
Yeah,
that was when they were admitting. That was when they were admitting like things they had done that they were ashamed of.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah.
So do we ever find out why he?
Nope. That was a big thing for me. I was like, so none of us know why they're there.
There were a few people that we never found out why they were there.
That's probably what was stuck in my mind. That's why he was there.
Yeah. So one, he's never going to be in there because he's a star jock, right? The princess, the super popular one, the one that's in all these clubs, she's never going to be in there. It ain't happening. The geek.
I don't know. I think that's possible.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
It's possible in the
I think it's more possible to have her. It's more possible to have her in there, I think, than the star jock, like you were saying.
No, and I think I agree with you on an average basis, but based on the world they gave us, in the school they gave us, and the vice principal they gave us, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just a militant type of.
Right.
I'm gonna fucking. You don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you
no,
think
but
you are.
I think what Marco, what Larry's saying is, at least I can tell you for sure that if there's a star player on a sports team and he's got detention, and they had a match on Saturday, the coach would be like, "All right, listen, vice principal, I need him at that match on Saturday. So why don't we organize to have him do a makeup some other time when there isn't a big meet? You know what I mean?
But
those kinds of things would have
It was
happened.
like an hour a day or something.
Like over a period of time. Like, but even still, though, like that star player,
but then you don't have this movie.
Right. Unfortunately, like being that star player, though, you have the caveat of being able to. I mean, if you know Matin High School,
so what do you think Bender's going in?
Bender's the only one that is definitely going there. He lives there. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So you have the star jock.
He's
He's never seen it. The popular girl that's in all these different clubs, trust me, people are taking the hit for her. She's doing nasty shit, but she has enough people. She's surrounded herself.
Do we know why she went in?
Nope. Nobody knows why these people are in. Ever.
We didn't go through this.
Well, I mean, I don't know that matters. I don't know that matters too much.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the reason why they're in.
Most of them, we have no idea why they're there.
Okay. Now you have the genius. Oh yeah, because he's getting in enough trouble. He's scared of his mom. He's not getting in trouble that bad.
He brought a gun.
What gun?
He brought a gun to school.
A flare gun.
No,
right?
it was a
flare
gun went off in his locker.
His flare gun. That's why he's in detention.
Still a flare gun. That's cause for detention.
All right, that I didn't catch. All right, that would be the only reason.
Yeah.
And then we have the girl that's
sworn they went through the whole. They were sitting there like,
no,
what
just
made you come here today? Like, why are you here today?
They asked that prompt, but like thinking about it now, they never actually answered really. Like they just kind of like brushed it off a little bit and changed it into a different topic.
Yeah.
And went like, well, we're all a little weird, right? And then it's like, well, what makes you weird? You know? And it's what makes you weird. And it's like, they didn't really answer if that was the reason.
So I think that, again, I think that the reason why they're in detention is just kind of like a side thing. That's really not what's supposed to carry the story.
Right. Yeah.
That what's supposed to carry the story is the awkward and
the clashing personalities.
Right, the different kind of people that they are. That's what they're trying to emphasize, right? They have the girl.
Right.
Yep.
You call her goth. I looked at her. She looked like she just was socially awkward, and she sat in the corner.
She just she didn't even give off really emo. She just came off as like a weirdo.
I just want to be by myself. So this is the thing.
Well,
like
I mean, in the 80s, that was goth.
Right.
Exactly. A goth girl.
Well, because there was definitely something. But again, what does that person that clearly likes to be by themselves or only hang out with their own little circle? What could she have possibly done? Like, she's the only one that I was kind of like, she could go either way. And then all of a sudden you have Judd Nelson's character. Obviously he has nothing better to do than hang out in detention. You know, and you see that when Vernon comes in, he's like, yeah, you say one more thing and you're here for another Saturday. He's like, eat my shorts. Like, clearly that's a real swear, which...
You've never heard that?
No, yeah, from Bart Simpson.
I was about to say, I heard it, and then that's exactly
I don't understand.
I was right.
Okay.
Bender is in because he pulled a fire alarm.
Oh, yeah.
Claire
Okay.
is there because she ditched school to go shopping. Andrew the jock taped a hairy nerd's butt cheeks together, which injured him when it was removed. Brian was failing shop and brought a flare gun to school and it went off in his locker. And Alice in the basket case, no reason. She had nothing better to do.
She's a klepto.
Yeah, she's a klepto.
That's what I got out of it. I was like, oh my gosh, she's a klepto.
I'm like, I've seen this movie enough. I know there's a reason there's
I know that
here's the thing.
I know that they talked about all that, but I didn't know if that was the reason.
They were talking about why they were there.
Okay, fine.
All right.
But
again, not because I want to be right, because then the people standing on their chairs screaming at their phones or whatever they're listening to.
Yeah, probably.
You're gonna get another email or text from somebody correcting you.
But again, okay, so those were kind of, all right, fine. That kind of answers my, why the hell are these 5 people here?
Yep.
Now that we know that they're here, I see what John Hughes is trying to do. But the problem for me is this character development between all of them. They hate each other. 10 minutes later, they love each other. 20 minutes later, it's fuck you, you're an asshole, don't talk to me, you're a dick. A half hour after that, it's they're covering for this asshole.
It's a long day.
It was 9 hours.
It was a long day.
It was 9 hours.
That's a lot of attention.
That's a long time to have nothing to do.
There is
except communicate.
Right. But there were so many parts of this.
Were they not supposed to communicate?
They were supposed
to shut up and write your letter and shut up.
Well, he didn't really give too much of a shit.
Right. Now, here's the thing.
No,
if the vice principal was really interested if he was really interested in enforcing any of those rules, he wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have been like, I'll be in that office over there.
Yeah, but he would have hung around his office.
The first hour, the thing is, again, it's like 8 hours. the first hour, he was probably like militant, like super duper militant about shut up, don't talk. But after a couple hours, you've got better things to do. If you hear some chatter,
I think it was more of like.
And then at one point they're all fucking smoking weed.
Yeah. Well, they escape. Don't they go to the bathroom? Like they're climbing through the fucking ceiling.
you would hear. You would.
Holy shit! It was a goddamn smoke box in there. There's no way.
You smell it from a mile
Larry's
away.
gonna explode.
Oh my god!
All right.
Emilio Estevez character screamed when he was high and he broke the glass. Because physics.
Yeah.
Because physics.
Oh my god, Bruno! I wish you were staying here. I would kiss you.
We missed you the last couple episodes, Bruno.
I watched this episode and I went, wait a minute. When you smoke weed, you want to go to bed or you want to eat. You don't run around the place. This guy looked like he just did an 8-ball of coke. There's no that is such the wrong thing to happen after you smoke weed.
Oh yeah,
so bad.
I mean, in their defense,
really
everybody
funny.
in the 80s was doing coke.
Yeah, pretty much. So they could all relate.
Okay,
yeah,
fair
that
enough.
So the writers
funny.
probably figured, let's make them do stuff we were doing and we were high on coke or something. I mean,
Sure, but they're all supposed to be
As they probably
smoking
were.
weed.
Well, I mean, John Hughes wrote it, but like.
Yeah.
Part of
probably was when he was writing
and
it.
part of that whole scene, right, is Judd Nelson's character gets locked in the broom closet, right? He breaks out of the broom closet, goes back to the fucking library, falls through the roof. Oops, I forgot my pencil. And then they go get the weed. Why the fuck didn't he just go get the weed by himself? Why did he need to go back to the library and bring the whole crew with him?
Because we got to bring the whole crew with us.
because, and I quote, "Isn't it fun being bad?" Remember that when he was in the hallway?
Yeah,
because he wanted to bring him along, and they wanted to
that's
come.
his personality
but
type.
why did they leave though? That's like there's so much about this movie that just doesn't make sense.
Because they were bored.
No.
All right. Let's back up. I can tell you exactly why. I can tell you exactly why they did all that. Because these days, everybody entertains themselves by jumping on their phone. They didn't have a phone back then. We didn't have
no
phones.
internet. There's no Twitter
there's nothing,
or Instagram to play with.
There's nothing
no
to do.
games.
So imagine one guy goes, "I'm going to go over there and do this thing." You're like, "Fuck, I'll go along." I got nothing else
in the
to
library,
do.
Reading the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit in the library with nothing.
Yeah,
I'm
no
going to
way.
go along.
No shot.
And that's why that's what you did. I mean, that's legit.
And Bender's that type. Like he's fucked up. He's gonna bring everybody down with him.
He's inciting it.
Oh yeah, he'll incite the riot and bring everybody with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I watch this movie though, I'm not looking at it as today's day and age. I was that kid. I was in detention almost every day. I know what it's like.
I know a lot about Larry
Trust me.
today.
All right. So when I see things like this happen, this isn't how that shit works, bro. I've been in detention after school. If one guy acts like an asshole, we are all the whole class let's go join him. No, you know what we say? Fuck you, dude. I don't want to do another month in here. You go do it on your own. You tend to forget, I'm old as well. I'm in my mid-40s. I went through high school and grammar school during this time. So I didn't have the luxury of being able to look at my phone for 9 hours, which again, that 9-hour detention, which is longer than a school day, that kind of blew my mind too. I don't understand that.
Yeah, that was wild. I'm like, 8 hours?
No, 9 hours.
9 hours?
Because he walks in at 7:06. He goes, "I have your ass for the next 8 hours and 53 minutes."
Yeah.
And I went, "Wait, what?"
9-hour detention.
That's longer than a school
None of that
day.
works.
None of that works. So that's why, I don't understand.
Maybe they owed a certain amount of detention. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe it's just again.
They got in big detention.
The timing, that detention day. I was like,
skipping
that's
school.
Yeah, I
go shopping
I
one
skipped
day.
school.
You're gonna go longer
That's
than a
it.
school
Go
day.
to big detention for this.
Yeah, you're gonna be in here longer than your school day if you just come in.
I've skipped school. I got caught skipping school. I got detention for a week. That was that's fine because this is the thing. When I first saw this, I was young and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so awesome." As an adult, I'm like, none of that makes sense. None of that makes sense. They get into
but do you know why? Because you were focused back then on the story, and now you're focused on the logistics of the story. You're thinking, would that guy would have said this? Would he have done that way? But if you just back up a minute, right? Because you're right. I agree with everything you said. None of it really works that way. But then back it up. Forget about all that stuff and think about the story itself, and it changes.
At the age you watched this movie, did you think?
Yeah, at the age you watch it. When we were kids, we weren't thinking. No, that we wouldn't have had 10 hours detention. We were thinking
back
at
then,
the conversations they had. And
You're thinking about
things they did.
the
the most
movie, the
logistical thing I
substance
thought
of the
about
movie.
that day and age was there's no way a dude is walking on ceiling tiles like
Right.
that. He'd have gone through every fucking one of them.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
part of it
He's
too.
way too heavy for any one.
Yeah.
So
You
he put his
can't-
knee down on one ceiling tile, he's through it.
Yeah, it's not
At
even
least
like
enough about ceiling tiles at that point. Like, there's no way.
In a
But
movie
that's
like
it.
this, it's not even just suspension of disbelief. That's not the point of the movie. That's not the movie. Them staying there for 8 hours is
9.
Sorry, 9 hours. It's not like
It's like a rating system all over.
it's an important plot point, but it's not the
It's
movie.
not the reason.
You know?
Right.
Like so what? Like you could
all right,
nitpick
all right,
that stuff
that's
all
just
day.
one. They decided to play music very loud.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, none of that made sense. That
Yeah,
was like
that doesn't make sense.
That was
dumb.
The fact that the vice principal didn't catch on to anything they were doing.
Hold on.
Wait.
He was actually,
I-
vacant. He didn't give a shit.
I just remembered during this part when they're like high and
he
listening to
leave?
music, he left. He was in the basement.
He went to go get lunch and shit like that.
Yeah, and then he was fiddling
down
around.
with
He
the
was,
janitor.
yeah, he was talking to the janitor.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
fiddling around, looking at like snooping at other other teachers' stuff. He wasn't there. That's why they were playing music.
Okay, so let's
That's why
talk
they were
about
getting high.
Let's talk about that part too, though. He
He's an
gets
ass.
caught by the janitor going through other people's shit. The janitor's like, "Yo, give me $50." Next thing you say, they're sitting there drinking a beer together. I'm
Because
like,
he
wait,
doesn't
what?
have $50.
He didn't have $50, so let's just hang out and drink.
Conversation. Come on. That starts a conversation.
Larry's upset.
That conversation,
Stuff.
there was no need for them to have that conversation. Why did you need to have that
both
janitor?
He's a janitor. He's a vice principal. They're just there for the sake of being there.
And the vice principal doesn't do far. He's not staying that long on a Saturday. That ain't
I
happening.
mean, the vice principal doesn't want to be there to begin with, right?
Yeah,
he's
he also doesn't
essentially
wanna be
going
there.
through
Anyway, that he has to be there.
all of this with
Right.
them. Yeah, he's going through with them. So he's bullshit at them. He doesn't want to be there. So he's like, look, they got to be, as long as I'm going to give them read them the riot act, but as long as they're not like burning the school down, I'm not really going to care too much.
Yeah.
And that's
After
probably
hour 9.
No, because at the end of the day,
after
the only
hour
one he
9,
really-
that's right.
The only
Come
one he
on.
really cared about was Bender. Like the only one. I mean, he cared in the fact that he just hated him. And
Yeah,
he
essentially
And that
had it
was
out.
hate.
fucking there. The
Yeah.
other one's just like
He
it's a
essentially
one-off.
had it out for Bender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's there every fucking weekend. And he has to keep going to detention. There's the vice principal has to be there every fucking Saturday because of him.
Right.
Like, otherwise, he wouldn't have to be there.
Right, yeah.
And obviously, and I mean,
I'd be pissed at the guy too if I had to spend every one of my Saturdays there because this guy can't straighten up.
because there's clearly, and they allude to it, that there's things going on at home, the
Yeah.
abusive father, and he's like, I'd much rather just be,
Oh, yeah.
and trust me, like, I get that angst, right? I do understand it, but when you have that group of people that they're trying to put on us, right, on this person's supposed to be this, their friendship, quote unquote, like they even say when they're talking, like Molly Ringwald's character, she says it, right? Claire says, she goes, tomorrow we're gonna see each other in school. You're not gonna say hi to me, and I'm not gonna say hi to you. So this whole quote unquote bonding of the cross continents, right? Mm-hmm. After that day, they're never gonna see each other again. And throughout this day, it's always a back and forth of I like you, I don't like you, you're an asshole. Like you see Bender's part, Judd Nelson, like kind of almost bonding with Emilio Estevez, and then literally 2 seconds later they're gonna fight. I'm like, wait a minute, what is the message that you're trying to?
They're learning. I mean, I think they're learning about each other, right? Because they're all coming from different parts of the life, and they're all coming from different households and different experiences at home, abusive parents or non-abusive parents that are too much pressure, right? So they're all learning that, wow, I'm not the only one going through this. Even the jock has got issues at home.
Yeah.
It's not just a fucked up kid. It's even the girl who looks like she's got everything in the world, has got issues at home. And so they're going through that. And and at first they're like, well, you're still not like me, or okay, maybe you are. Oh no, you're not. Oh yeah, you are. Oh no, wait a minute. You're still kind of an asshole because you said that thing.
Yeah.
That kind of made sense to me where they're like, all right, I'm understanding more about you so I don't hate you just because of who you are in the society. But I'm still not necessarily happy that you just told me
I still
that
think
thing,
you're a dickhead.
right?
I still don't like you, but it's not because you're from that side of the tracks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
So part of me was this though, Bruno, and first and foremost, since you're the writer of the group, do you know how long it took John Hughes to write the script.
We promoted you as a science officer, by the way.
You're not. You're the science officer. It took John Hughes 2 days to write this script over the course of 4th of July and 5th of July. So what do you think he was doing while he was writing this script?
8 ball.
At least. Right?
Yeah, he probably was. He's probably high on coke. I mean, who knows?
I felt
the
like
80s, baby.
I felt like from this movie,
It
and
was
also,
the 80s.
like this movie from the get, I felt that right to get everything seems wicked forced between the characters. They're like, I don't think the acting was really well. Everything just seems so extra and so over the top, but it wasn't done in a convincing way. And like what? Like,
well, I think what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it doesn't hold up. Essentially, right?
Yeah.
You're basically because, and I agree with you. When I rewatched it too, so even when I suggested, I was like, "Oh man, this is such a classic. It'd be really fun to review this." And then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this is not nearly as good as I remember it being." And at that point, I had to reflect and say, "Well, why? Like, what changed about it?" Obviously, I'm older. I'm not a teenager anymore. All of that. But I think the other thing is that, like, in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, like, the writing in the movies wasn't as good. I feel like, well, let me take that back, because there's been terrible writing throughout forever. There's always been bad writing. And I feel like this was a hit movie, not necessarily because of the writing at the time, but because of how it captured the sort of teenage life, the subject. Right. And then you look at it now, and the subject isn't quite the same any longer. You have the same sort of subsets of kids, but they're not quite like that any longer. They got different issues they're dealing with. They've got different focus. And so that doesn't resonate. And then, obviously we're looking at it and we're older now, so we're not going to connect with these kids. And then the writing was adequate, at best adequate. Right. And not really that good. So I totally get where you're coming from, and it doesn't really hold up, in that same thing. But I bet you could rewrite this and add a modern twist to it, and it would be, and it would be a hit, right? I don't know. It would be tough to rewrite it because everybody would be like, "Oh, it's just Breakfast Club version 2.0." But
there's plenty of that out there.
I think it was a good delivery initially because of a combination of timing and like adequate, good enough writing and acting. Like, none of the acting was fantastic, although Judd's acting was really good. I thought he did a good job as Bender. A little over the top, looking back, but I think he had a tough role to play in that. But I don't disagree with you, Larry. I think it could be a lot better given what they had to work with.
And I'm not even talking about like, I'm not looking at it from today's teenage angst. I'm looking at reflecting on the time when this movie came out, right? I was just talking to Marco about this in our last episode. Is when you watch an older movie, I try not to look at it with today's eyes, right? Because I don't want to put today's judgment on it. Like, hey, you know what?
Sure.
That movie is bad because of A, B, and C. Well, during that time though, that's what was happening. So that's how you have to look at it. So I try to look at older movies like that. But even for the time, I watched this movie and I'm like, all right, this movie came out in 1985.
85?
Yeah, it came out in 85. So I'm like, all right. Was I in high school? No, obviously not. I was in grammar school. I kind of do remember the times I had uncles and aunts that were in high school at that time. So I try to like think of like the time, and man, I don't. There was so much about this that I really just didn't like, and I wanted to like this so much more.
Yeah, but at the time you said you did, right? So it
right.
Hit at the time.
So what changed is I don't even know what changed. I don't know if it was like the acting.
I think you've got higher standards. I think you get higher standards for writing,
maybe that's what
higher standards for movies.
Yeah, I think the fact that we've learned how to scrutinize what's a good movie and what's a bad movie, I think now we look at it with just such a different lens of, well, I've seen, like, when you've seen so many more things and going back to this thing. You know, you've got different lenses on.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
I mean,
I think you're definitely right there.
It's like when I'm watching movies with a friend of mine who's got such low standards for movies, like because she doesn't look at them with the same lens as I do. She'll walk out of some like absolute shit movie going like, "Oh my God, that was the most amazing movie. This is one of my favorite movies." I go, "Are you serious right now?
Are we in the same theater together?
Yeah, right.
Are we watching the same movie?" You know?
Yeah, but 2 years ago, don't you think you probably would have said the same thing, right?
And I
Before we
probably
really
would
spent
have.
I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
2 years
Bear.
on a podcast analyzing movies,
Cocaine
right?
Bear.
Right. Like I've had to, when I watch movies like that, sometimes I have to turn off my head, you know? Like I got to
Yeah.
turn off my logic.
How do you
You know?
stop that? No, just kidding.
but you know what though? But
It's a trade secret.
But like we've said though, in its simplest form, I want a movie, honestly, just entertain me. Like I don't even need like big plot lines and stories. Just entertain me. I want to shut my brain off for an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. This day and age, who knows? But I want to shut my brain up and just be entertained. I watched this movie. I found myself doing other things. Like looking on my phone. I was like, oh shit, thinking about laundry. I'm like, oh, I gotta do laundry. Maybe I hit pause real quick, go down, switch my load. Like, this movie didn't even like really keep my attention.
Didn't grab you.
It really did. And, you know, I mean, Bruno, I think you're absolutely right that now we watch movies now just in general, not just for this podcast, but I think that we just watch movies now for so much more that things like this, movies that held up in the 80s that they just don't anymore.
They don't cut it.
They just really don't cut it in this movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So do you think of that about the whole John Hughes catalog, or is this like a one-off? Or because for me, this movie holds the same that it did back in when I watched it originally. Like I don't love it or hate it any more or less.
Okay.
It wasn't a rock star movie for me. It's not something I go back and watch all the time. I enjoyed the movie when it came out. I still enjoy it now, but it's not like on my top 10 list of movies. It is what it is. It's just a time capsule, that period of time in the 80s, doing this sort of thing with all these, 5 different people.
Yeah.
And for me, it just is what it is. It's not something I would say, oh, you have to watch The Breakfast Club. It's weird for somebody like, let's say, somebody our age who hasn't seen it, like if my wife hadn't seen it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of a big movie at the time. So it's weird that it's not weird that Mila never saw it.
Yeah.
It's weird that somebody out in the 40s or 50s haven't seen it.
Yep.
But again, it's not like it didn't blow me away back then. It doesn't blow me away now. I don't hate it either. I don't think it's worse. I didn't think the writing was that great back then. It was a little boring because it's just 5 people in a library for 9 hours. You know what I mean? So for a whole hour and a half, it's just people in a library. It's not like a whole ton of shit happens. You know?
It's not action.
It's not action, but it's not even like a great drama. It's not even a great comedy. It's not even, you know what I mean? It's just, all right, we're just listening to these 5 people talking to each other for an hour and a half. All right. Finding about their pathetic life and whatever bullshit they're not happy about. Okay. Get over yourself. Move on with your day. Why did you tape somebody's butt cheeks together? Like, what are you, an idiot?
Because this kind of reminds me of this other movie. Has anyone ever seen Carnage?
No.
It's kind of like this movie where it basically takes place in this one, like, there's like 2 couples. And this one couple lives in this apartment, and then this other couple comes to visit them because their kids got in a fight or something. And the whole movie is all in this one apartment, and it slowly divulges from it kind of has like this weird commentary on like people can keep their darker parts, like hidden better, because they go from like cordial to like, well, my kid's better than your kid, to they would never do this. And then it almost becomes, by the end of this movie, they're just like so raw with each other, just like, you've done this, you've done that. They start hating
and then they just hate each other.
Their own partners, they just hate everybody in that room. It becomes like someone they despise. Wow. And it's like the most wild movie. I can't remember who's in it.
And it's probably really good because the writing was interesting, right?
It was actually it was a really interesting movie. I'm trying to look it up now. Yeah. It's got definitely some familiar faces in it.
But it's one of those things. Larry, I think you're absolutely right. This is not a movie you can watch multiple times and have it keep your attention. And the reason for that is because the conversation the first time you hear it is interesting because it's all new. And so it's taking you through, like this whole movie is just conversations between different parts of society, right? Different types of people. So they have these conversations, they fight, they bond, they break apart, they fight again, they bond. And you go through that emotional experience one time. Then if you watch it again, you know exactly what's coming. It's boring. There's no surprise. There's no interest to hold on because you're not thinking what's going to happen next.
And none of
like
the
if you
characters are
hear,
compelling.
yeah.
That's another thing. Like the characters are like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, none of them were compelling to me back then.
So it's funny thing about the characters.
It's an interesting movie to watch.
Because it's not interesting any longer because you know how it's going to resolve. But if you watch this again, if you were to somehow be able to erase your memory and watch the movie, for the first time, it would be more interesting. I'm not saying it would be amazing.
It's definitely a better watch if it's a first time watch.
But I watched it again, and it again is I felt the same exact way.
You felt the same exact way.
I've had the same exact interest in it
So
that I
that's
did
good.
back then. Again, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best thing. I can't wait to watch it again. Like, yeah, I've seen this a bunch of times. I know what I'm getting into, and I don't have the same feelings about it I did back in the '80s when I watched it.
Right.
My brother, however, loved this movie.
See, I don't.
This is like one of his movies. Like Dante loved this movie. He was one of his go-to.
Yeah.
And then like Clerks came out.
That.
And that was like his movie again.
Clerks was good.
I can see that. Yeah.
So all right. So talking about like just a movie that's based just a conversation, the whole movie. That's what Breakfast Club is. It's a group of 5 people that the whole movie's conversation. Not for nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's Clerks.
Yeah.
Clerks. That whole movie. Right. And it's the day, just a regular day. It's like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, it's a one day.
It's a one-day episode where a lot of shit's going down, and that every time I watch it, it keeps my interest.
Yeah.
Even though I know the next part, I know
2
Dante's.
Okay, I haven't watched 3 yet. I want to watch 3.
I haven't watched 3 yet either.
It's out on Amazon. You can rent it or buy it on Amazon Prime.
I don't think I've seen that. I got to check it out.
Yeah, 2 is not bad.
It just dropped on Amazon Prime. You could rent it or buy it last week.
I think Kevin Smith was good about the Clerks movies. Is he hangs on to some of the nostalgia. He knows where the bread is buttered.
He's also good at poking fun at himself.
Right, he pokes fun at himself and he tries to move the story along pretty well. I didn't mind Clerks 2 at all.
There's a point in the trailer where Randall's making a movie and he has that's what he ends up doing.
Yeah.
He makes a movie. So he has a scene where Dante kills him and comes in and shoots him. And he's like, "What the hell? We gotta let you shoot me off in this movie." He's like, "What if there's a sequel?" He's like, "A sequel? What am I, a hack?" And then you can see Silent Bob just points at him like, "Yeah, you know it."
Yeah. So Kevin Smith is really good about doing things like that.
He's good at poking fun at himself.
So, but the funny thing is, when we talk about the characters in this movie, and Bruno, you had said that you thought that Judd Nelson's character was actually really well in this. Fun fact. After this movie, John Hughes and Judd Nelson no longer talk.
Yeah, I remember that.
From this movie because Judd Nelson was such an asshole and John Hughes didn't like him at all after this. And then,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the reason why him and Molly Ringwald don't get along anymore, they severed ties, is because she was done doing like the teenage angst because she was like, I want to do other movies.
Candles and,
16 Candles came out before this.
Right.
They're pretty in pain.
Right. So... But that was the thing. She was like, I don't want to do these roles anymore. I'm all done.
It's John Hughes movie. They're all the same. Not the same, but the same. Like, you know what I mean?
And because of that, they severed ties because she wanted to like do other things. He was like, well, then that's it. It's like, well, you're kind of an asshole, dude. Like, no, for nothing. These are people that, I mean, I don't know the relationship again between him and Judd Nelson. I just read it that because of this movie, because of the way that Judd Nelson, he wanted to fire him. But the guy that plays Vernon convinced John Hughes to like, no, he's a good actor. Yeah. Keep him on because
he's good for this
John Hughes was ready to get rid of him. He's like, I don't want this dude anymore. He sucks. I don't want him. Whatever angst was going on between them. But as far as you had asked, like
having seen like Judd Nelson also behind the scenes, kind of like other stuff, like beyond that, he seemed a bit diva. He had his issues in Hollywood where people just kind of got tired of him and didn't really want anything to do with him.
He definitely got tired.
He was him. You know what I mean? He was Judd Nelson. He was the hot thing, so he went to his head. I think he's cleaned it up a little bit in the past. He's gotten some more stuff going on, but for that time period, it was really hard to deal with him.
Talking about movies that are just conversations or shot in one place. Have you guys ever seen the movie Locke with Tom Hardy? Locke?
Oh, no.
I mean, I gotta tell you, it's a one-watch movie. Like, you watch it the second time, it's not the same. But the very first time you watch it, like, I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen Tom Hardy in a really, he did such a good job. And this movie just keeps you involved where you're just like, it's literally just he's in his car driving,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of phone calls one after the other, and it sounds like a super boring premise, but the movie actually was really good. So if you get a chance, yeah,
Phone Booth was actually a pretty good movie. I was surprised by Phone Booth.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. It's just him in a phone booth the entire movie.
Yeah.
I mean, movies like that can be great.
It's really good.
It can be good. Yeah,
He basically answers like a payphone, and that's obviously a hard thing to even conceptualize for kids these days. But he answers the payphone. It's like a dude is in one of the buildings around him with a sniper rifle, and if he moves out of the phone booth, he's gonna shoot him.
Oh,
He's gonna kill him.
not good.
No. This is
Not good.
This is like, what the fuck?
Yikes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So you had asked the question, like, how does this, Mark, you asked the question on based on the John Hughes out of all his movies. He did National Lampoon's Vacation. He did 16 Candles. So I would say, like, if we go to the high school angst movies, I think 16 Candles, I just watched that recently. I still like that movie.
Yeah.
It's still a good movie.
Yeah, it's still got great
it's
parts.
still
too.
hilarious. Like, there's still parts in that.
Getting married. Married? Yes, married.
Sheesh. I mean, so like that movie, and that came out the year prior to The Breakfast Club. I don't look at that through today's eyes. I look at it through, because again, there's certain parts of that you probably couldn't do today's age, right?
Yeah, with the long duck dong stuff.
Long duck dong. Yeah.
Dude, he cracked me up.
Cracks you up, but that's like, wow.
No more
That was
wanky.
Super stereotypical Asian.
Can't do it.
But again, I watched that with 1980s eyes, right? And I'm like, yeah, man, those
Straight out of Big
those
Trouble in Little China.
yeah, those jokes are hilarious. That was a good movie. I'll still watch that movie today.
Yeah.
I have no problem watching it. Again, I watched that recently.
Yep.
Flipping through the channels. Oh shit, 16 Candles. Boop. I put it on.
What do you think compared to Pretty in Pink? 'Cause Pretty in Pink is like one of my least favorite for whatever reason. I'm not a huge fan of that one.
No, for me that was like the pickup artist. Those two movies for me. I think at that point, I was just kind of tired of Molly Ringwald, to be honest with you. It's
I mean, I was a big fan of Pretty in Pink because I was crushing on her, but other than that, I don't think the movie was very good.
No. But it had decent actors in it, though. You know what I mean? But I just didn't really care for the movie itself.
Wait, was that a John Hughes movie though?
I believe so.
Pretty in Pink?
I think so. I think I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Somebody's yelling at us. If not,
Somebody's sitting on their chair screaming right there.
Who was? It was John Hughes wrote it.
okay, all right.
The director was Howard Deutsch.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, it's like it's those same kind of people. It was the same. It was almost like the same story. But I think okay, so that came out in '86. I just looked it up. It's Molly Ringwald at her highest, but at this point, we've already seen her in 2 movies, right? We saw her in 16 Candles. We saw her in The Breakfast Club. Now she's in Pretty in Pink. I think I was just kind of done with it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I wasn't a big fan of the 2 guys there. That was his name. John Cryer, which
Ducky.
Yeah, Ducky.
Ducky, yeah.
I didn't mind John Cryer. I think I liked him more in 2.5 Men. But I think that was just really good writing for him.
Yeah.
I didn't mind him there. Like, he was supposed to actually be the original Chandler Bing in Friends.
Right.
He was on his way to go audition for it, left his script, whatever, like in the cab or whatever, and so he missed his audition. I can honestly say thank God, because I don't know if he would have played a good Chandler Bing, or I don't know if he would have gotten it.
No.
Like, it's just because like his delivery is a lot different than Matthew Perry, right?
Yeah.
And then the other guy is there, Andrew McCarthy. Andrew McCarthy, to me, during that time, always seemed like he was the straight guy trying to play. He was very much the 80s version of Judge Reinhold from the 70s.
Yep.
That's who Andrew McCarthy reminded me of. And I wasn't really a big fan of his. I mean, Weekend Bernie's, that was pretty funny. I think the guy being dead probably was the funniest part of that.
Yeah.
He was also he was in Mannequin.
Yep.
Yeah,
which is one of my favorite movies.
That wasn't a bad movie.
But I had a huge crush on her the whole time. So
fair enough. So something else brought you, wasn't him?
No.
Prior to the movie.
No.
But I mean, like during this time, I was kind of like, me personally, I was just kind of like over the whole Molly Ringwald. So
Yeah,
Can I tell you? I was crushed on her like in the early '80s. She was kind of this cute little red hair girl, and now like, whoa my gosh, like if pictures of her like now, she doesn't look anything like her. I don't know if she had work done or what, but it's like a totally different person, and like not in a good way.
right.
It's probably then.
Like a little Madonna-ish.
oh, there's Mila.
Oh, hey, what's up?
I don't know. It's
What's
just
up?
like she sort of had this
combo.
cute girl looking, and then like I don't know. She doesn't. I mean, you put the two photos of her then and now next to each other, and they don't look anything alike. It's really weird.
Person.
Yeah.
At least not to me, anyway. I should say.
Well, I think it depends on like what year, because I'm looking at like different pictures. Oh, she was just in something I watched recently. Oh, she was in Dahmer.
Was she?
She was.
She was in Dahmer. Have you seen the new show Dahmer?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not either. Yeah.
All right. Watch Dahmer. That's all I'm gonna say.
All
That.
right.
It's on
Holy
the list.
shit! Like that's the stuff that like you have to watch that episode by episode. Like you can't binge watch that because it's fucked. I mean it's about Jeffrey Dahmer, right? So like
So it's gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
it's I mean that in itself is a fucked up
It's
story.
pretty fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but everybody that played in this show done really well. What's his name? The guy that plays Dahmer. He was in Peter's.
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters, yeah.
Evan Peters. Yeah.
I watched him
Yes.
in American Horror Story.
Yes, exactly. That's where he got his
Yeah.
start.
That's
Evan
That's
Peters.
where he got his typecast.
Let me tell you something. He plays him amazingly. And
Oh, yeah.
I really think he's a good actor anyway.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, he pulls off a lot of good things. But yeah, watch Dahmer if you haven't watched it yet, Bruno. And all seriousness, Mila. Oh, Marco, have you seen it yet?
I was about to watch
I'm sure
it, but
Amy
then I
has
was
that
like,
enough.
ooh, I should probably be doing it.
have
Like,
not.
I was like, I feel like I'm going to be watching it. So I was like, I don't know.
I will absolutely tell you, absolutely watch it. But anyway, that's where I saw Molly Ringwald, and she's in this. And it took me up until like the 6th episode to finally go, oh my God. It actually was my wife who I believe figured it out. Because she's amazingly like at seeing people in movies and going, oh, you know who that is? I'm like, I have no idea. And she's like, oh, you know, she was in this, he was in this one episode of, you know, CSI or whatever. I'm like, how did you know that from like one of the first episodes? And you were, oh yeah, I remember that. I'm like, all right, you're great. So she's really good at it. She's the one who recognized Molly Ringwald in her part here.
Wow.
Yeah. But this, the Breakfast Club for me was just, this was a tough watch. And again, it's coming off the heels of 16 Candles, which I love. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is right behind this one. And that is still a movie
That's a really good movie.
That's a
that
great
one's so
movie.
fun to watch.
That is a really fun one.
Fun fact, the high school that they filmed at for Breakfast Club
Right.
is the same high school from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until the very end when the kids are leaving the school, and I went, wait a minute. That's the school that Ferris pulls up to pick up some,
The school.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, John Hughes, you know, he had a lot of that kind of, like we were talking about with Adam Sandler, sort of a stable. You know what I mean? Like all of his movies were kind of like that Midwest, you know what I mean? Based around kids around there. You know what I mean? You weren't getting a lot of LA stuff or New York. It was really that Midwest town, the every town. You know what I mean? Nondescript.
Yes.
So they could just sort of appeal to a larger audience. And that was kind of
there's no reason you wouldn't go back to the same places. You've already got relationships built there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of John Hughes, we should do Weird Science.
So I was just looking at, I was looking at his catalog.
We could also just do a John Hughes catalog.
Yeah, like I'm looking at I was looking at his catalog, and it's like the movies that he made, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed The Breakfast Club until I watched it recently, and I was like, oh my God.
One of the bigger names in Hollywood during the 80s and a lot of the 90s until he passed away.
I mean, you have this. You have Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You have Uncle Buck. You have Home Alone. You have, Weird Science.
It's just one hit after another.
National Lampoon's Vacation. So again, he likes using the same actors as well. And I'm okay. I don't understand how this movie... I was so saddened by it because it's the typical pay attention to me. I don't get enough attention at home. The storyline of this teenage angst.
So what were your thoughts on it back then? Like when you first watched it?
So, and I know that
back then it was fantastic, right? Back then.
I really liked it, but I'm trying to think of why did I like it though. I don't.
Probably because you didn't know much about good writing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And you weren't.
Yeah,
And you weren't.
that's just it.
And you weren't
that's what I was-
focused.
12 years old, 10 years old, I was not thinking about.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to bring up earlier. Is like because you were ignorant to those types of
the
things.
story. Yeah, you were just appreciating the story for what it was intended to try to be, right?
Yeah,
But even the
and that's
story
it. That's
isn't
it.
that great though.
Again,
I
you were
think-
ignorant to that. You didn't. You
She just
couldn't.
called you ignorant.
I definitely. I mean, absolutely. I think the reason why I liked it so much was because of Judd Nelson, though.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
that was
could
it
be.
was that character.
He was
you
kinda
probably
like-
related to some of the characters.
That's
and you figured
Yeah.
I think that's
pretty cool.
That
That was a
too,
big
that
part. Like
too.
he was just kind of like he was like that rebel, like fuck you, you know. Even though he didn't even say fuck, he was eat my shorts, me.
No, yes, he did.
He did.
He gave a few fuck
He
yous.
screamed it at the vice principal after he slammed the door.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't hear.
So I mean, I think that's honestly the reason why I like that movie was because of him. And now I walk
Yeah.
now when I watch it, I go, that dude's an asshole. Like even in like those standards, I'm like,
Called himself an asshole. You kind of
mean,
identify
but-
with
but
him.
you
You
Yeah.
didn't intentions with it. I think you
But
just called
think
himself an
about
asshole.
your
You're-
perspective.
but I do that frequently though. When I talk to people that I like went to grammar school with, they introduced me to their wife, and I'm like, oh my god. And she's like, oh, you know, you seem so nice. I'm like, no, I was an asshole when I was a kid. And she like this happened not too long ago. A friend of mine, Kirk, he introduced me to his wife, and I was like, no, I was an asshole. She's like, no, I was like, and Kirk goes, no, he's right. He was an asshole. I go, I was an asshole when I was younger. When I was in high school, when I was in grammar school, I was an asshole to my teachers, to other people. So definitely, I will openly admit that.
Yeah.
So I look at it now differently. I mean, I'm not that much. I mean, I'm a little asshole, but not that much. Sort of.
Hear eyes rolling on a podcast.
Hey, think of it this way, right? I think your perspective obviously develops and changed. You're an adult now, and you look at this kid who's a teenager who's acting like an asshole, and you're
Yeah.
like,
that
this
word,
kid's
yeah.
legitimately an asshole, right? If you ever
that's a
watch,
loose word.
Yeah.
you ever watch Dirty Dancing? and like, yeah, and you watch it from like a parent or an adult perspective.
Yeah.
yeah.
The dad
there's
was
no
right.
fucking way. Yeah, the dad was right the whole time. There's no way this teenage girl should be hanging out with this guy who's like 40 or whatever.
At least in his
doing
30s.
all
At
that
least
shit.
in his 30s.
You know,
Who's
that's-
like
Yeah.
back on every
Dad-
chick in
Dad-
the place, got one
Dad
pregnant,
was
did,
right.
like, you
Oh my
know,
God.
is willing to get this
Dad
other girl
was-
an abortion. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, not that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah.
Back then, there was
Yeah.
definitely something wrong with it. You know what I mean?
You don't love
But when
me.
you first saw that movie, we were all kids, and it was like, oh yeah, the parents, they're always trying to.
You
hold us
can't stop
down,
love.
And, Yeah.
Sure, make
And
a bet.
meanwhile, you look at it from a parent's perspective, you're like, oh, that guy.
Fucking still live in my house. He's a can.
trouble.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, that's always, how old was Johnny supposed to be? Like, regardless of how old Patrick Swayze actually was.
Doesn't matter. She was still in her teens.
I know, but I'm wondering though if he
Even
was.
if he's in his 20s. I mean,
But-
was she 18 in that movie?
I think she was like 17, maybe.
Right,
but
so
I'm wondering, like,
depending
how
on the
old was
state,
Johnny
depending on the
supposed
state.
to?
I mean, they were in New York, right? They were upstate. They were
Upstate
at that
New
time,
York.
They were upstate New York.
Yeah, that's actually a. That was,
So I just looked it up. Patrick Swayze was 35 in the at the time of filming. Johnny was supposed to be 25.
Ew.
Eight years older than Kelly
Baby?
Bishop.
Which isn't a problem unless she's just underage. Unless she's under the age of consent. 8 years is just 8 years. I mean, I know
Right.
people, you know.
No, sorry,
I was-
8 years younger than his mother, than baby's mother.
wait.
I mean, so the mother, the difference between Johnny and baby's mother was only 8 years. He was 8 years younger than the mother, which would put him like 10 or what? Baby was 17. He was supposed to be 25. The math doesn't add up. Either way, she was supposed to be
He's 25,
17.
so
and he
she's
was
what, 8 years
he
older,
was
so she's
supposed
33? She's like 33
yeah.
in that movie?
Yeah, that math doesn't
Yeah.
work.
And she would
No,
have,
that
let's say
doesn't
she had-
work.
so let's
Because
say
then the
she had a
mother
baby
was
when she
supposed to be
20.
13.
Yeah, like 13 when baby was born. No,
Yeah, or
that's
16. Nah,
And I mean,
fuck
and
that.
not, and listen,
Anyway, he was supposed to be 25.
but here's the best
But don't
part
forget, she
though.
also has an older sister.
She has an older sister, but here's the thing though: the age difference between mother and father, that was huge.
Yeah.
Because I mean, her.
Yeah, Jerry Orbach was definitely.
Yeah, Orbach was an old dude.
Yeah, even then he was like, especially supposed to be older.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Bruno. It's like when you watch that, when you watch that movie as a parent, you're like, yeah, that's just not fine. As a kid, you're like,
that's not good. That's not good.
That alone is a problem.
Right. So with this movie, with
Different
Breakfast Club,
aim for the demographic, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
it was perfect for the demographic. It applied. The kids watching it. As a kid, when I watched it, I was like, yeah, fuck the man, fuck school, all that stuff. And it resonates. But now you're like, what? What are we doing here?
But it wasn't so much like, fuck the man. Like, I watch these older movies and I'm like, yeah, I get, especially for that time, and wanting to like, fuck the vice principal and fuck school and fuck the man. I don't.
Think about it now, though. You have two kids. Imagine one of your kids does what any one of them did.
I would absolutely. They would never see the light of day. Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure that they know that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, but at the end of the day, you can't. Yeah. You avoid issues with kids by parenting them when they're young, right? Like you got to parent them from the day they're born, and you've got to curb those habits and curb those traits so that you can be like, look, you can be these things, but you can't act in this way, right? Like you've got to earn their respect. You teach them how to be. And so by the time they're 17, there's no way you're going to fix a kid. Forget 17. If they get to 13 and they're a D-bag, like you're going to have a really hard time.
Yeah.
So by the time they're 16 or 17, you're not, as a parent, like you've already blown it. You've already lost your chance. You're not going to change anything about them at that point.
Yeah.
So, like, will my kids act that way? I mean, I'm certainly going to do everything I can now while they're in their single digits to try to curb the fact that they ever even get the inkling to act that way. By the time I was 15, I wouldn't even have thought, like, it wasn't even on a horizon of, like, raising a hand to a parent or even swearing at my parents. God forbid. I don't know, honestly, to this day, if I've ever sworn to my parents. Even though I was super mad at that.
With Delio.
He would have hit on my brother and then smashed me with him, right? Yeah. Like, there's no way I would have even considered, like, saying F you or anything.
Why me?
And we've had lots of fights, right? But it's just, you learn from it. You teach them from a super, super young age. You got to get right in there, right in the beginning and stay on them. And then by the time they're 17, hopefully they're not going to be a bender. You know what I mean? That's how you get there. You can't blow it off until they're 17 and then expect that you're going to change them.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work well.
Nope, definitely.
But at the end of the day, Larry, I think it's not resonating for you because you're clearly a neo-maxi zoom dweeby.
You are definitely dweeby.
Yeah, I really, really wanted to like this movie still, and I wanted it to hold up even just a little bit for me, understanding that times have definitely changed. We all grow up. I understand the premise of it. I still respect the premise of it. But when I was watching this, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. All of you, except for maybe Bender. Yeah, I feel your pain, brother. But the rest of you, shut the fuck up. I don't.
Yeah.
It was too much of the overacting on the angst, and again, like I got that whole feeling.
The worst one, obviously, being Ali Sheedy. Like she's not even there for a fucking reason. She's just bored.
I mean, she was there to embody angst.
Yeah.
She was there literally to embody the angst. Like, she was the definition of angst at the time.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you guys. Where did they get the clothes to dress her up? Did Molly Ringwald have it in her locker?
Huh?
At the end of the movie, she gets the makeover.
Yeah, when they did the makeover.
Yeah, I thought she had.
I thought she had it in her purse.
Is that okay?
She strikes me as the type who would have like change of clothes.
Right, so that's what I couldn't remember, and that was
halfway through the fucking day.
Right, but that was like a legit question, because I couldn't remember. I was like, wait,
I think part of it was shit she was wearing, like underneath all the layers. They kind of stripped her of some of like the big sweater, the over sweater, and everything like that.
Yeah.
They kind of stripped her of some of the overhanging things that she was wearing, and
it made her a completely different person.
Yeah. Brushed her hair.
Can we
fucking comb through her hair? That helped.
Yeah, can we, Bruno?
Because imagine if nowadays a movie came out where they took a girl that looked like Ali Sheedy's character in the beginning and they did a full makeover with makeup and made her look super mainstream, how well that would go over.
Bro, they still do that shit. That's still in
no,
movies.
but yeah.
They do.
Yeah, and imagine.
Although nowadays it's mostly they go to the bathroom in a weird angst and then cut their hair perfectly somehow and then walk out a new person. You go like, no, you.
How would you cut your own hair like that?
Yeah, that's what it is now. They cut their hair in a dramatic fashion. That's in everything.
You're right. But I'm thinking more. I'm thinking, you know where I'm going with this. Imagine now what you've done.
Yeah.
Well, here's that message, right? The message is whatever you look like before, no, that didn't conform. Now that you conform, you're beautiful, right? But I think we can all agree that she did look better when she was sort of put together and cleaned up a bit. But I can only imagine the kind of outrage that would come, from that.
Well,
now.
the thing is,
you understand it, yeah.
If you have to also look at it. I saw it from that perspective as well. What's wrong with the way she dressed? And the thing is, there's this other thing that I kind of scratched the back of my mind where I was like, well, the thing is, there's also one certain point, especially as a woman, when you kind of just want to feel pretty. You can have that one moment where you don't have to dress like that all the time. It's just one moment where you can be like, look at how nice I look.
Yep.
And that's just
okay.
for a moment. And
that's
it's not
okay.
and it's not like you have to always dress like that. It's not like conform. It's
but very much about
I think
how
I look
you dress
nice
on
right
a daily
now.
basis says a lot about yourself.
Right, yeah.
I mean, your clothes, there's so many variations of clothes. The clothes are so personal, and you dress the way you dress because it really portrays a lot of your personality.
Right.
People pick out clothes for themselves. It's not by accident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden dress like that because, oh shit, I didn't realize that this makes me look like an angsty emo person.
Exactly.
I'm dressing like
no. There's no way.
That's how I'm dressing.
I'm hiding all these clothes because I want to be hidden. I'm putting all these extra layers on, all this baggy shit, because I don't want anybody to see what I really look like.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of it is obviously psychological, good, bad, or otherwise. She might have, body dysmorphia. She might have different issues with her own body. She doesn't think she looks pretty, so she's hiding it.
Yeah.
Right? People who have eating disorders think they're 900 pounds, but they weigh 70. You know what I mean? So they need to get lower. You know what I mean? It's a lot. There's a lot behind that whole tale of it. But, and Molly Ringwald's character obviously dresses in the most expensive clothes because she wants to be that pretty princess all the time.
That's the side of the tracks that she came from.
Right.
Gets dropped off in the BMW and, Daddy, can't you get me out of this one? And he's like, it's okay. Like, she's a product of a split home and parents are divorced and they use her. So, I mean, they kind of hit that at the beginning. But I see where Bruno was going though. Like, could you do that today where the whole image thing is it's be happy with who you are, be happy in your own skin. Yeah. You don't have to change. Yeah. You don't have to dress a certain way to conform. But like you said, Mila, you have that day that's like, you know what? Maybe I do want to just put on the makeup and I want to get my hair done and I want to dress like, and that's okay. But I think that the problem is there's so many things out there that tell you that that's not the way you have to be, or that's the way you should be. It's being that the whole just be happy in your own skin thing.
Go too far.
Right. The thing is, there's two sides to that coin from that one scene.
Yeah.
There's
in today's society, does that go too far?
It depends on how they handle I think it depends on how they handle the scene.
I mean in real life.
In real life.
Because it's reflecting, like a lot of times, it's reflecting real life.
I think that
there are things.
There are certain times that it's gone too far, and I'm like, one way or another.
Certain things were like, okay, so a person, man or woman, usually it's a woman because that thing's to sell, right?
Right.
A woman could be 5'4" and over 450 pounds, and they're like, I'm big and I'm beautiful,
right?
Well, you're talking about body positivity, and that's definitely
right.
That's not okay.
That's a different thing.
It's sort of is. They're talking about who they are and portraying. I love me the way I am, and I think everybody should. But should you be portraying that as a good thing in terms of like you're that morbidly obese and it's a medical problem that you could very well die from easily? And you're okay with that? Like, is it okay to tell people that it's okay, you're that big, and it's okay to feel okay to be that big? Forget about beauty; it doesn't make a difference whether people think you're beautiful or sexy. That's not the point. Is it okay to tell a young person who's confused that it's okay to be 450 pounds and feel good about yourself? You're going to die. That is going to kill you. I'm not saying you have to be a twig. You shouldn't want to be 90 pounds either.
Right.
That's also going to kill you.
I see where Marco's going as well too, and I think it's almost like we've painted so many people into corners that you really you have to watch what you say, what you do, how you do it, how you dress. It's because if you criticize anybody for anything, it's mind your own business, or it's you're shaming them because of whatever reason. As far as like the clothes go, like, which is this character, it's that, taking somebody's image away from them and making them look a different way is, well, somebody can watch that scene today and go, look what they did to her. They made her be something that she didn't want to be. Well, not for nothing. Maybe she wanted to be that for that day, like you said, Emilio.
Right.
So I just think that's, Marco, to answer your question, can it go, sometimes it has gone too far. Sometimes it doesn't go far enough. I think it's all, again, it's all a way on how people perceive things, right?
Exactly.
And I'm everybody, unless you're following the narrative, you're going to be wrong in somebody's eyes.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So there is...
Well, you'll never make... That's right. You'll never make everyone happy. No matter what.
Right.
Yep.
We talked about that on the next episode, about how, a joke can be offensive, but it's not inherently offensive. You just took offense to it.
Right.
Instead of saying that joke is offensive, you just say, I found it offensive. Or I'm offended by it. It's not inherently offensive.
Yeah.
There's 100 people in the room. You're the only one offended.
Yeah.
99% of the other people were just fine with it and laughed their ass off. It's not inherently offensive. You found it offensive. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But to tell somebody you can't do that, or to be arrogant enough to say, you can't say things ever that are going to offend me in my life, fuck you. Yes, I can. You're taking offense to it. It's not my problem.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I can say my left ball hurts. It's not your problem.
No.
It's not your problem.
You should figure that one out.
But,
stop sitting on it.
Right. Is it strange that one is larger than the other two?
Well, keep sitting on it, and it'll always be larger than the other two. Wait, what? But again, like you could take that, you could take the other part of the movie as Emilio Estevez's character there, right? Who taped the kids. Somebody could take that one part, and we know what that part was meant for. We know that's the reason why. Okay, somebody could take that and completely turn it on its head and go, that was, obviously it was bullying, but they could go to the umpteenth level and go, Emilio Estevez should get canceled for that. Wait, what? He was a fucking character, and that wasn't even real. That didn't even really happen.
Right. No, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
It can go to that. It can go that far.
It does.
And unfortunately it sucks because now it's I'm almost thinking that sometimes it may hinder creative flows and creative juices.
How
do I do this movie or do the show without somebody jumping all over me and me literally worrying about being fucking canceled?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know if you could do that part. Honestly, I truly don't know that if you were to do this movie over again, could you do it? Verbatim, scene for scene. I don't think you can, because I think about half of it is getting canceled.
Hard to isolate all the different personalities.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because everybody worried about offending the jocks.
But that's what I'm saying.
No. I think you could do. I think you could remake it.
I think honestly,
you could remake it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Bruno in this one.
Change some parts.
Yeah, definitely, you would. But
I think you could, but you'd have to change some things, right?
Right.
But
I think for the most part, I think you could do that again.
But if you take certain parts out of it because you're worried about backlash or whatever, is it still the same movie? Does it still hold that same message?
Yeah, I do. I think it would. Yeah. I think it would, because the things I think, just at a 30-second analysis, the things that I recall that probably wouldn't go well in this day and age aren't like vital to the movie message, aren't vital to the flow of the movie. So like when they show her doing the makeover, they could just kind of change how that makeover goes or what she does.
Exactly.
Right?
You can just change it a little bit.
So now you've eliminated that as a potential. The things about the things about the kids being from different parts of society, I think would still be totally fine. I think the principal being an a-hole probably wouldn't go quite as well. So you'd change them a little bit, and maybe make the bad guy somebody else or some other. I mean, you could change his interaction, but at the end of the day, he wasn't really vital to it either. He was just he represented the prison guard in their jail sentence. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you could get rid of that and have the conversations just, and maybe the antics that they get up to wouldn't be quite so stupid. But you could absolutely, I think, you could do this whole movie with just a few changes, and I think it would still, portray the same kind of message. It wouldn't be the same movie.
Yeah.
It'd be similar.
Yeah.
It'd be similar, I think.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
I think that's what it is. It's the storyline is still a storyline. It's 5 people from different sides of the town that have to spend the next 9 hours together, and it's basically just to show people, hey, it doesn't matter where we come from. We all have this, we all have quote unquote issues, regardless of how similar, how different they are. They're all still issues that we all deal with. Nobody's perfect. That's pretty much. Dude, I just did that's just a 30-second movie that I just made. Pay me.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go.
The 30
Done.
second.
Pay me.
30 second therapy
Fantastic,
session.
fantastic.
There you go. That was awesome. All right. Well, I think that was a good chew up of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to add anything else? We always get a little extra at the end of the show. Anybody wants to
Oh,
throw
I got
a
something.
final thought, if you will.
So when they
Do you
leave,
really?
right? Yeah, believe it or not, when they leave,
Thoughts?
Judd Nelson makes it with Molly Ringwald like hard. She's leaning on her dad's car. Let me tell you something. If that's my daughter,
Oh,
my
if
God.
that is my daughter,
he's under the back tire.
and some scrub-looking guy like that, like again, you have to think about the
Right.
social class, right?
Yeah.
They come from money.
Yeah.
They're rich. He's the bad boy. Are you out of your fucking mind? I'm beating the piss out of that guy. You're not making it with my daughter leaning on my BMW. I'm cracking you over the head with a
I'm taking
crowbar.
off your broke ass boot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I completely there was a moment where I'm watching the scene. that I go like,
100%.
wait a minute, isn't he in the car?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, huh?
Yeah, the car didn't roll up by itself.
Right? I was like, wait a minute, he's right there.
And
Huh?
and that's why I'm so glad I have 2 boys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a final piece for
I
me
got the one.
that kind of.
I got just the one.
Yeah, I looked at that and said, that's not happening.
Oh yeah.
That's just not happening.
Yeah, you're 100% right. 100%.
Yeah.
That is the unrealistic piece that would never fly. I don't
Number
care what.
one.
Even back then, I'm sure like parents were like, no.
Back then it was worse because they didn't have to worry about camera phones and this and that to witness them beating the piss out of somebody that's making it with their daughter.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
You kidding me, man?
I'm only gonna have to worry about the one.
Yeah, just the one.
Just the one.
Marco, can you imagine if your dad had daughter and that happened?
Poor bastard. I mean, it's bad enough.
It would have been
it's
like-
bad enough with Tasha.
No, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Poor kid.
It's already been bad enough. There's a lot of like, don't tell Sid. There's been a lot of that over the years since they moved back to New England. Don't tell your father.
man.
Don't tell Nunno. Okay, got it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, definitely.
Good time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Bruno.
Wait. You want to
Thank
rate
you,
it?
guys.
Oh, we're gonna rate it. Holy
We got to
shit.
rate it.
We're gonna rate it.
yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I have
What are
no
we
idea.
doing?
See? Marco can't hold his smoke. That's what it is.
He doesn't know any smoke. That's what it is.
I gotta meditate
So,
on this.
what are we rating it? How are we rating? With what ratings? And don't say what number on it. It's always out of 5.
Should we rate it in candles?
No,
John
no,
uses the 16 candles.
no.
It was done from this movie, Lipsticks.
We could do lipsticks.
Oh.
We could do. Oh, that was another part. That was so stupid.
She put lipstick on
like,
Doobie.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like, well, I got you, Bruno. I heard that, but the whole like, what talent do you have? She like puts the lipstick between her non-existent boobs, and then she's like, "Do you think I'm a whore because of that?" I'm like, really? That's what you're doing?
It's funny.
It's the 80s.
That's what makes you a whore.
Criteria.
No, even in the 80s, I'm like, that's not what makes you a whore. Because in the next movie, John Hughes shows us what like a whore is, basically. I'm like, nah, I don't know about all that. That was some serious overacting and just shitty script and horrible writing.
Bad writing.
yeah, that was
Fucking
bad.
bad
That was
writing,
bad
man.
writing.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but yeah, how many doobs do you give it?
Doobies. Bruno, you gotta start with you since this is your pick.
I am going to rate it as if it were 1985, and I'm going to say it was like 4 doobs in 1985. Looking at it now, probably
Because that's what we do.
3.
Right.
Yeah. I'd say for now, looking back on it, like 2.5 to 3, right in the middle there. But maybe, and when I first saw it, I definitely thought it was a solid 4.
Yeah, back then I was a 3.5, and I'm still a 3.5.
Okay.
I keep my 3.5 rating for this one.
Mila?
I might go. I'm so in the border of 3 and 3.5. Can I please pick something in the middle?
Nope.
Beg
Nope.
of you.
Nope.
Let's
You can go 3.25.
No,
You can go quarter.
Get out of here.
Come on. Yeah, that was definitely.
No, if we do it for this one, then we got to do for all of them. Next week it's 3 5/8.
3.25. That's my answer. No.
I don't have any time for this.
I'll probably err on the side of 3.5.
All right. So what do we got? We got 3.5, a 3.5, and Bruno, where you at?
A 4.
No.
Well, but,
Oh, we're talking about
between
today.
a 4 and a 2, so I'd be like 3.5 if you average them out.
Yeah.
So 3.5 is the consensus. Larry?
3.25.
How much lower are you going than 3.5?
Larry's fucking up the curve.
Yeah, right.
I'm like fucking this curve up.
I'm like, so how much lower are you going?
I'm giving it half.
Yeah.
I'm giving
Half?
it half a doob.
1/2.
Damn.
No, not 1.5.
One
just
half.
1/2.
Half a
Just
doob.
half a doob.
A half smoked doob.
And that's for the title song. And that's the only reason.
He doesn't like the song.
Don't you?
Yeah, done by Simple Minds.
Forget about
That's
me.
probably it. This movie did not hold up well.
So that shit between the first credits, the
Fun
beginning credits,
fact,
the end credits, that was all trash.
The what?
The shit between the opening credits and the end credits, that was all trash.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary.
Could have taken that out of the
I
movie,
could have just
really.
bought the album and listened to the song.
Yeah, some of the trash was a lot more trash than some of the other trash. They were just.
See, I think Larry's experiencing that phenomenon that you get, that happens when you used to really like something and it turns out to be real bad. And you're like, you're monumentally disappointed by that.
Very salty about
like,
it.
I feel that way about like the Italian soccer team. Like they used to be amazing,
Yep.
and now they don't even qualify for the World Cup. Go fuck yourself, is what I tell them now. Like,
This podcast
are you
my
serious?
God.
Soccer
Yeah.
team.
I'm with you.
They didn't even qualify for the World Cup. God
Unreal.
damn it,
Unreal.
right?
Italy.
That's
So like
crazy.
that's like
Like one
you're
of the
more
hubs of
upset
soccer.
by
I
it.
didn't even notice. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
One of the
That-
world
that's-
you're
hubs
more-
of soccer.
Didn't
Like,
qualify.
yeah,
I know.
qualify.
And they missed. I think they missed.
Shameful.
I think
You
they missed
think,
like the last
where is
qualifying
soccer
game.
the most popular? Where are your hubs of soccer?
Yeah.
Brazil might be one of
Shameful.
them. You know what I mean? London, obviously,
Shameful.
England is
Oh, yeah.
pretty big,
Yeah.
and Italy. Qualify.
Bruno,
didn't even
you're like. I'm like 90% with that. Like I wanted this. I went into this movie going, I love it. I love it. I watched it. Went, oh my God, I was so upset. I came into class like the next night, and Marco was sitting down doing something, and I sat next to him.
Visibly depressed.
I was depressed over
funny,
this.
that was the opposite of my
I was
science
so
watch.
disappointed.
That was the opposite of my science watch. I
So
was like,
bad.
I'll hate it. And I go, oh, I liked it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Like it did.
No,
I
this
mean,
was supposed to
again,
happen.
I was like doing other things. I'm like, shit, I got laundry to be doing. I did other shit while this movie was
Yeah.
on, and I was like, oh yeah, this part. Yeah, all right, I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yep.
Lick.
Yep.
So, yeah, half a star. Unfortunately, I probably won't watch this again.
There it is.
Rip.
The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
John
Sorry,
Hughes.
guys.
Rest in peace, John Hughes.
Sorry, man.
Damn.
Sorry, man. No love here.
At least not for me.
Not a lot of love.
Just for this one movie, though, because I like his other movies.
I know.
I hope.
I know.
I
We'll have to
No
do a
love,
John
Larry.
Hughes episode. We just go over his catalog. And
I like that. That's a good idea.
That's
an
an
little
interesting. Yeah,
rating.
I kind of
Yeah.
think that's
That's what we
cool.
could do.
I like that. All right, we'll get to it. All right, gang. Thank you very much for listening. Bruno, thank you for being on the phone with us, chiming in. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, guys.
That was awesome. Thank you, Mila.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We are Entertainment Rants at entertainmentrants.com. Find us on all your local podcasting services. Feel free to write us a line. Let us know what you thought of The Breakfast Club and of the episode. And feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcast. And what are we going to go do, everybody?
Talk, rant. Let's rant.
That's right.
Let's rant it out.